I have no idea how this is going to go. Hello and welcome. This is Kevin, also known as AWOL, and today we're going to work on a small bag here that is inspired by this one. So I really like this pattern in particular. It's something that I've played with a lot in the past, but we're going to try something a little bit different, and I'll show you how that works. So I haven't even lined anything up. I'm going to show you exactly how this goes. So what I have is 4 shades of a very earthy tones, kind of browns, kind of coffee with cream perhaps, and 2 colors. Mind you, because that other bag needed like 7 skeins of each color, I didn't really have that to do kind of again, which is what kind of inspired this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start out with my 2 colors that are, in this case, green. And I'm going to go dark green, and then I'm going to go the light green. And this will all, show exactly why I'm doing everything as we kind of go along. So kind of bear with me. Next, we're going to add in all of these browns in the sequence of light to dark. So that kind of tannish color. Now this is a very light brown. Whoops. A light brown, and then a medium brown, and then a dark brown. So there's just 4 of the browns, right? So the other pattern used 6 colors. This too uses 6 colors. The fade, though, that we're going to get by using the 4 browns is going to be epic. This is really going to make it something pretty cool. Let's see. Mind you, I say that, but I'm working off of the theoretical because we haven't actually made the bag yet. I have no foreknowledge of this thing, but I did plan this out, and I know what's going to happen, so I can kind of work this out in my head exactly where this is going to go, and I'm pretty excited about it, and that's why I'm doing this video. I didn't want to wait until Saturday to do a live stream, so I figured I could do something kind of short and show you how this works. So there we go. We got dark green, light green, the lightest brown, which is like a tan. Next is this very light brown. And this is a relatively easy pattern, give or take. What I'm about to do with it will make it much more difficult, and making this a bit more of an advanced project. I do plan on putting the pattern over on my website, AKAAWOL.com. So you guys can check that out. So we're just gonna bring the darkest green straight on down all the way across all the other strings. When I join the 2 sides together, I make sure that that first knot is really good and firm. I want to make sure that it holds the 2 sides together very well, and is the foundation for the whole bracelet thing itself. So that's kind of important, something to kind of be aware of. And there we go. So the green, dark green has gone all the way across. We're going to do the same going to the left. This part, not too difficult. Don't worry, it gets more difficult. Oh shoot. Why is my camera doing weird? That was really strange. Okay, so like I was saying, this part a little bit easy. It does get more challenging. So we're going to use all 4 knots, the lefts, the rights, and the left right and the right left. So if you don't know about those, you should probably go check out some of my intermediate bracelet tutorials. I kind of explain these. I guess I can show you here shortly because I'm about to do one. So this is going off to the left, right, which is a simple knot. So backwards 4, goes over twice, easy peasy. Some people like to call this the backward knot, but I think that that's subjective depending on where you started and if you're right or left-handed. So I prefer just to call this a left knot. And now here we're going to do a left. So it goes over to the left, and then we're going to do a right. So we bring the color back the other direction. And we're going to do the opposite of that on the other side. Again, this part here, not too difficult. Shouldn't be if you're experienced at bracelet making. If you're not experienced, don't worry, it comes. It just takes practice, as with pretty much anything, right? Just requires practice. And now we're going to go to the right and then to the left. So to the right, it looks like a number 4, and then the left, it's backwards. Kind of a neat thing there. Doesn't really matter which direction, we're right there in the center that we go. Just kind of following the direction I was working in prior. Just a little bit easier as far as I'm concerned, but it really doesn't matter. So now, as you can see, the tan color is going to be in the middle of our greens, which is sort of cool. It's going to really, though, play a part in the secondary part. So what we're working on here is like the top of this, right? What comes next down here is where you're going to see all those 4 colors really coming together. So we've set ourselves up to have a bit of pop of color and then these other 4 shades working together to be kind of something neat. And as you can see, in the center of the beige, or the tan rather, is this light brown. So that's going to kind of add to that whole earthy tone that we have going around this green. Yeah, so I kind of started off this video saying I have no idea how this is going to go. Last Sunday, my computer started acting really, really weird, and I had to reinstall all the software, everything. So I don't know how well my videos recording is going to be. I don't know. I have no idea the sound quality, all this stuff. I have no idea what's happening. So I'm crossing my fingers, hoping for the best, and we'll just have to see how it goes. The little bars that I watched say that my audio is being recorded, and it looks like things are happening as they should. So fingers crossed. Okay, so now we have this, right? Now, earlier I was working on some of this, and so we have a yellow one, and this is what kind of makes it a little bit more of a challenge, is because we are going to be mixing up many colors. So basically the bag needs 8 loops, so I came up with 8 different color combinations to do this. Now I want them to all look like they're stacked one after another, going in a particular direction. So I've chosen that I'm going to have it kind of stacking. Well, you'll see this as I do it. So the yellow, instead of going a regular knot, I'm going to have to go partially to the right and then back to the left. basically I'm going to join these two pieces together with these few little knots here. But you'll see it's going to look like the yellow is sitting over top of the green. At least that's our goal here today. So now the green has kind of bounced back and stays on the side of the green. And it's important that you don't let the green go off onto the yellow side or the yellow end up on the green side, because you can't just necessarily get it to go back where you need it, right? So that's the important part on this. Now we have a nice dark brown right in that center spot. Whoops, sorry about that. The green is going to come back first because we are going to come across with this yellow again. And you can see the 2 points where it's either green or yellow. The yellow is going to take it. And so now I can do a little bit more inside of here. And so you can see each of the two colors, we had the green, now we have the yellow, each of those two colors are going to be what really kind of pops against these earth tones that are happening, right? The earth tones are going to be kind of the thing that runs throughout the whole bag, you know, including in the center of the colors. And it's the colors that are going to have that pop of something else going on. So let's see, what is the next one? We're running in a sort of a rainbow, right? So the next one will be orange. Again, I made these things earlier, anticipating the fact that I would do this tutorial. I figured you probably didn't want to see me get each one started, so. Now, just like before, we're going to do it where this time it's the orange that's on top. So it's going to always be sort of pointing in that kind of direction. And that's kind of important if you're doing a project like this where you're trying to be pretty advanced, is keeping things consistent, because people who look at the details, they're going to want to see that kind of consistency in it, and it makes all the difference in the world. Now the colors will make two passes, kind of like in the other bag. Here, let me grab that other bag out again. So you can see how we have the green coming in through here twice. The colors will do that. Now I haven't quite decided if I want to have the colors in the second band going in the same direction as they were in the first, because you can see I can change those up. I can make it so that way the first time they're going to the right and the second time they're going to the left, and that kind of adds interest to a project. Or I can have them both going to the right, which also shows like a sort of consistency, which is also sort of fun. But that's entirely up to the artist. You're allowed to be creative. You're allowed to do different things. I just am offering suggestions of other possible ways of making something like this. So hopefully that's inspiring you guys. Maybe you want to try doing it a little bit different than me, just to see how that turns out. And I'm okay with that. As long as you got inspired, you want to try something new, that's good. I applaud that. All right. As you can see, I kept the yellow to the yellow side and the orange to the orange's side. And now I can do a little bit more with this yellow now that it's in between these two other colors. I can bring this side up. Now, the next thing is, can I get some more of these added on? This is going to be kind of a timely thing. It's going to take me a while. So what I think I might do is kind of show you how I get this section done and then go ahead and put the rest together. And then you can see what comes of all of this, because basically everything just repeats exactly the same. After the red, or after the orange, comes the red, and then I have like a violet and then a purple, and I will go through a whole rainbow. I basically have added an extra hot color and I added an extra cold color. So after the blue, or after the green, is like an aqua, kind of a greenish blue, and then it'll be a regular blue before going up to the purple. So that's how I kind of stretched it into 8 instead of just 6. If there was 6 loops, it would have been a little bit easier. It could have just gone straight through the rainbow itself. But with 8 loops, I had to kind of stretch the rainbow out just a bit more. So, if you're new to my channel, I am Kevin, also known as AKAAWOL. I introduce myself that way. I have been making knotted works for more than 30 years now, and to keep it relatively exciting for myself, I try to come up with new ideas and new ways of making things, including bags and that sort of stuff. So if you're new here, welcome. Hopefully you're inspired. If it's a little bit over your head, you're just a beginner, don't worry, I have beginner videos. You can come join me on my live streams. I stream on Saturdays at 10 p.m. Singapore time. You'll have to check what that is for your local time. And yeah, you can come in, ask questions. I do my best to answer everything that people ask. Sometimes I have to pull out a whiteboard and some dry erase markers to show how things work or whatever. But whatever it is, I do try to answer. I do try to help people along. I may not have all the answers. I'm certainly not an expert in, say, the alpha bracelets, which is where the knots go back and forth sort of in straight lines. That's not really my forte. I've rather like these kind where choosing which direction the knots go in allow you to develop patterns and stuff. So this is more my forte right here. You can see, so that's the little shape of the yellow, and I'm going to continue putting all of the colors together like this, and then I'll show you how I join them together to make it a cylinder, which is essentially how it builds out to being a bag, right? So I'll be back with that shortly.
A few moments later.
And we are back. So obviously this took a little while. This is the next day, that's why I'm wearing a different shirt already. It took a while because I had to actually finish up the tops of some of these here. I went and came down further because while it's nice and flat, it's a little bit easier. A little bit, not terribly, but I was able to come down a bit. And I want you to notice something really cool that's happening. Now this was planned. I knew this was going to happen, but look how it's like there's a little jewel inside of the brown, right? The red, the orange. It's really going to pop with the lighter colors like the yellow and this bright green. But so now what we need to do is we need to turn this into a cylinder to make it a bag. So I know I've shown this before, but in case you're new, in case you're whatever, this is how it's done. We turn it around backwards, and I find it's a little bit easier to do this if we find something small enough to put in here. Now mind you, it can be anything. This was a cutting board that we had, like a craft cutting board. But you could use cardboard from like a cereal box or something like that. It doesn't matter. And you're going to bring your pieces around and get them really close to each other, almost touching. And then, hang on, let me get the clips in here and clip it together like so. And be careful here because it's kind of be easy, I guess, to make a mistake. Make sure that you're following the same direction. Remember, we had it always looking like this side was on top of this side, right? Like this. So we want to make sure that we continue that so that way it's going all the way around in the whole circle. So it'll be the green over this aqua. And then go ahead and bring the green down this direction. Again, we have the aqua type color in here instead of just a straight 6 because there's 8 loops. So depending on how many loops you go with, depending on how many strings you want, I wanted this bag to be kind of big enough to be able to put maybe your identification card if you're going to school, or your driver's license if you're an adult, a little bit of money, things that you would want if you were heading out to have lunch somewhere. Maybe you're in the office and you're going to head over, get yourself a bite to eat. You just need some bare essentials, and a little bag like this is sort of perfect for that kind of stuff. Or another purpose, and I've talked about this a little bit before, is a medicine bag. Back in the day I had a leather one, but a lot of people still like carrying around special stones that they think will help them in whatever kind of way. Some crystals are supposed to help with mental clarity or warding off bad vibes or whatever it is. You want to have a couple stones that you carry around your neck. This is a perfect little thing for that. It's nice and colorful. It'll when you put it on the strap, the weight of it will kind of close up the whole top of the bag, so you don't have to worry about something falling out of it. So I'm going to go ahead and get this green one over here done. And I mentioned before, it bears repeating, I will have a sample of the pattern over on my website. This one shape, it just repeats itself endlessly. So if you get the gist of how this one shape with the figure 8 goes, you probably pretty much have this whole bag figured out. But I'll put that in there. It'll be when I release the video. So I'll put a link down in the comment, or not in the comment area, the description area for the web page. Because yeah, I kind of like to see you guys' take on it. What kind of colors you choose to put in here. Now, mind you, I did this with 4 of the browns because I wanted to make that area sort of really pop. That's not necessary, obviously. You can change up colors at your complete whim. The one thing, though, that will be different is the colors that are inside of the brown areas, right? So like the center dot, if you had used 3 colors of, say, green and here, then the dots down below will have that color inside of there. Now that can be cool, but it can also be a little bit of a trying to figure out which direction you're going to do things in, because what will happen is you'll have a green from this side and you'll have a yellow from this side coming down to be where the center part is. So you would have to try to figure out, like, is there a correlation with the way they stack over as to which color goes into it? It's just a little something to kind of to if you want to make it look really cool, then you have consistencies essentially. So hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully you get the gist of that. Kind of the same way that we have the dark brown as the gem in here. So it would be similarly like just the little dot of a color. And I do suggest you kind of think it through ahead of time, just so that way when it's all said and done, it sort of makes sense, or at least you, if somebody asks you, you can explain why, as opposed to just doing it any old way. I've noticed that people do, in fact, want to know why you make certain choices or whatever. And so I always try to figure it out based on that, you know? Like if the overlap is going this way, then I would probably make the dots down here yellow because that sort of makes sense. If I then change the path on the third row when the colors come back again, change the direction, then I could make the dot below that a green. And I have done that exact kind of thing with patterns in the past, specifically for that reason, so that way you could see both variations, and then when you show people the attention to detail, they realize that there's a lot of thought that goes into your knots, and I think it really kind of helps them to realize that you're not just somebody randomly tying knots or whatever, that there is thoughts to your artwork. And I think it's a selling point personally. I think it really helps people to see something interesting, something a little bit beyond just the surface of it all. So yeah, and that's why I was kind of excited about the whole little gem like dots inside of the dark brown. I think it's just a fun way of making color pop out and do something interesting. So you can see the two ends are really well joined by this point here. Essentially, we just continue this pattern down through the colors again, and then back through the browns again, and then I will be working out the base to this. And mind you, we're going to kind of make the base similar to the last bag, this green and purple one. We're going to go with something like this. There was a bit of work done with sort of like a chevron for a few rows. Now I'm going to kind of change up how that happens when I make it. So yeah, I'm going to definitely include that in this video. But I kind of think that you kind of should have the gist of this area here, and rather than stretching out the video too long, I think what we'll do is we will cut it off, and I will come back when the base area is ready. All right, back in a few.
One eternity later.
Okay, so I finished the whole rows going around, and now we're going to start working on the base. But before we kind of really get into the base, in that previous bag, you saw that there were like 3 rows that were in a chevron. So we're going to do that here. Now, I know that typically when you do a chevron, you just do 1 row at a time. But this is kind of big, and that really won't do us any good trying to go 1 row, 1 around each time. It's a lot of just shifting things, reclipping, stuff like that. So I'm going to show you what we're going to do here. We are going to concentrate on 1 area at a time, right? So this one is the green, and I'm kind of cruising as quick as I can, so bear with me here. You know what? I'm going to speed up this bit just a little, just to kind of keep it interesting, so I'll be quiet for a moment. Okay, so now comes the fun part of we're going to go into the next one over, and I'm going to show you how we make 3 rows join up with this. First off, we are going to follow the same pattern. It was always like the yellow is over top of the green, right? So we're going to follow that same kind of over thing when it comes to this. And this is for a couple reasons. One, we want to keep the patterns and the style or whatever consistent. And we're going to try to keep the colors kind of in here a little bit longer. So it's going to like basically redirect the direction that the colors are going in. So we're going to have a little bit of color down at the center of the base of our bag. So what we're going to do is when we get to the end here, I'm going to take the yellow to the green. I'm going to go right and then left. And that's going to send this green back down through the rest of the colors coming down. Now, I'm also going to go ahead and bring my green up one space here. Right, so that one's ready to catch with the secondary color that goes through. So let's get this other yellow out of the way. And you'll see as we're building the yellow here, you can see I'm basically prepping the yellow to be ready to do the same exact thing with the orange on the next time around, right? So we did the green first, you know, because something had to be first, and it basically left off before I got to the next one. Well, that's what we're doing here with the yellow now. Now, because I was going to the left, I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to go to the left again, just because it's a little bit easier. It's that whole stitch in time thing. It does actually work out to be a little bit faster. You already know that all those strings are ready to receive. There's no tanglements, nothing to hang you up. It just is a little thing that makes it go quicker. Now when I go back the other way, I'm going to use the light yellow to go over the light green, and again I'm going to make them change their directions. And it kind of keeps them in their little areas, right? So the yellow will stay underneath the yellow, the green will stay underneath the green. If we let them go out, further out, the colors when we get to the base of the bag would be sort of mixed up, and I didn't want to do that. You could do it, it's possible, it can be done, but I kind of want to keep the colors in their areas, and you'll see why when we get to the actual bottom of this bag. So I go over my dark yellow and then I change the directions. Now, because we've done this, we've essentially changed the sequence of these. You'll notice now that the darker green is on the inside and then followed by the light green. Same with the yellow, the darker is on the inside. So we have made a change, and it will have an effect on it later on. Well, you'll see that's not so bad. All right, I'm going to go ahead and bring the light, well, I guess we're calling this tan. So it's kind of the lightest of the browns. I'm going to go ahead and bring this all the way down. Now this one, we don't have to bounce it or do anything else because it actually matches up exactly with the color from the other side. And that is how we do our chevrons. And I'll basically, I will repeat this whole thing all the way around until I get to the other side, and then I will have this green over here go over top of the blue that is its neighbor. So relatively simple, but necessary means to an end. So all right, I will be back once I got all the chevrons done. Okay, so basically now
I have finished the row that's just basically chevrons all the way around. And now it's basically simple. I just have to, every other one of these, bring the chevrons all the way down. So there's really nothing to that. Each time you come down, it's a little bit smaller. It's easy. As you can see, the color red here is going to be much, much lower, right? So that was kind of the whole goal of what we were doing up here. It's hard to really say that if it's noticeable that like this like a burgundy-ish color going over the red, that's the direction it went. But I know it is. I know that was my intention and that I did it, and there you have it. So you know, as I'm kind of looking at it now, I'm not sure that it's really all that noticeable. Maybe like because this part kind of really is what kind of curves under and stuff, like that's those colors are going to be at the very beginning of the curve. Maybe that becomes like, you know, like evident that it's going in the same direction, it's doing the same thing. Because I mean, I guess it does look like this side of the chevron is a little longer, so maybe the owner of the bag will get it and think that that was a pretty clever use. But it's better to have a plan than to just go random. Like if I just did it differently as I went around or whatever, I really think that it could have had a really poor look. So when you know, facing these kind of choices or whatever, kind of just pick a lane, stick with it, and it'll come out at least better than just not planning ahead or not looking at it, you know, for consistencies. All right, so as you can see, real simple. It just gets a little smaller each time you get to the end. You leave that strand off, and essentially I'm just going to do like every other one. So there were 8 loops at the beginning, and I'm bringing 4 of these things down. And once I finish with that, I will turn the whole thing inside out, and I will knot everything coming inwards. And that is all there is. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed all of this. You guys are learning. I'm going to finish out this little bit here, do it up, and then I'll be back with the actual finished product just so you can have a look, see how it turned out. But yeah, no, I hope you guys have enjoyed my video, and that if you haven't already, subscribe, share with your friends, maybe stop by the shop and check that out, or you know, maybe go over to Patreon. That could help the channel as well. We have over on Patreon, we have discounts. You can, if you're thinking about maybe buying a bracelet or a bag from my shop, go over to Patreon and save yourself some money. Right? You can help support the channel and have some savings. So here's the reds, the colors coming back out again. And that's going to look really cool when the other colors, so on this side it'll be this purple, and on this side it'll be the yellow. And so like this red is going to come and be in contact with those at the center. It's going to look really good. All right, so I'm going to go turn this thing inside out and get it knotted up. Back in a flash.
Okay, so the bag is all completed now, And you can see what I was talking about is how the colors overlap each other. Kind of goes all the way around in the circle. And the same is true down at the bottom of it. So even though it's a very subtle thing, I think it really makes the pattern pop. And this is how the base turned out. I have to say I'm very, very happy with the way that turned out. So let me know what you think in the comments. I think this is a real big success. My wife did the kumi for the strap. We just did it in the browns because obviously using, 16 colors would have been kind of difficult. Plus it would have meant that I would have needed more strands of these. A lot of these were like what was left over from other projects and stuff where I had 2 strands of each. So it just kind of worked out really nice. I think it looks good. It accents the bag very well. So that is it. So hopefully you enjoyed this whole little journey from beginning to completion. And maybe you'll take up doing knots if you're not already doing it. So like I said before, though, this is an advanced tutorial. If you're a beginner, go check out there's a whole playlist I have of beginner ones. If you've gone through all of those and you want more, let me know, and I'll see what I can come up with. All right, so that's it for now. I want to thank all my Patreon supporters for everything that they've done to help make these possible. And as always, don't get your strings in a bunch.